That's my line of trucks, huffed Bill. It's mine, snorted Ben. Yours is over there.
The engines were furious. Next morning, they held an indignation meeting round the turntable. Disgraceful, mumbled Gordon. Disgusting, said James. Despicable, spluttered Henry. To say such things to us, cried Donald and Douglas. It's to teach him a lesson we'd be wanting. Now how do we do it?
Henry has had an accident and been sent for repairs, said the Fat Controller. There are no other engines available, so diesel will help until Henry returns. Yes, sir, puffed the engines, but they weren't happy. The engines didn't like Diesel. He was always being rude and always showing off. I hope Henry's mended soon, said Percy. He moves more trucks than 3 Diesels put together, agreed Thomas. Trucks are no one's friend, puffed Gordon.
The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue sea.
I'm hot! My engine will overheat!
It was shiny and modern.
You're the biggest engine I've ever seen.
Cinders and ashes, cried Thomas. It's a dragon.
Don't worry, laughed his driver. This dragon is made of paper. It's for the carnival tomorrow.
They thought it fun to drop stones on him instead.
Haunted bridge. Pah, snorted Duncan. It's as tame as a pet rabbit. Islands are surrounded by the sea.
Yes, I've heard of you.
And I've heard of you. You swank around with your steamroller wheels, pretending you're as good as me.
Actually, I'm better.
Isn't this the funniest noise you've heard?
A popping cork hit Mr. Bubbles. It knocked his big red nose off.
I am the fastest, said Gordon proudly.
Everywhere was wet, wet, wet.
At last, the jet engine ran out of fuel.
There can't be 2 Olivers.
Yes, there can.
That's my line of trucks, huffed Bill. It's mine, snorted Ben. Yours is over there.
Meow.
But one day the friends were feeling hot and bothered.
The noisy sheep were spoiling his peace and quiet.
This is better, said Daisy. But whatever is that rubbish? The rubbish turned out to be Annie, Clarabelle and Henrietta, who were most offended.
Why didn't you fill up with water this morning, matey? James told him about the line at the water tank. I've heard you were too busy to help Edward too, said Salty. I was in a hurry, protested James. Mine is the most important job on the island. No job is more important than helping another engine, said Salty firmly.
Some people like to go to the mountains. Others like the valley.
Wake up, lazy bones. Why don't you work hard like me?
Oh, it's you, said Elizabeth, looking down at the Fat Controller. Have you learned to drive properly yet?
She's for it now, said Thomas to his driver.
Elizabeth, said the Fat Controller fondly. My first lorry. I thought you had been lost. They were old friends. It was too much for Thomas. Then Elizabeth told the Fat Controller how she'd been left in the shed for years.
What's that rubbish? Said Peter Sam. That's Skarloey. He's famous. I hope I can trust you to behave when you next come out of this shed. After hearing that, I'm sure Sir Handel will. Aren't you?
Hello, puffed Neville cheerfully. I'm not talking to you, Thomas huffed crossly.
You jumped the signal, grumbled Monty. Did not, snapped Max.